G'day guys, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Simon. Today I'm talking with Ross Windsham, the owner of Total Health in Brookvale. He's been a chiropractor for 17 years and we're going to interview him today, and this is again part of a series of interviewing professionals in their respective fields and giving you information about important information to try and dispel myths of what's out there. And one of the biggest myths that's out there at the moment is chiropractors are unsafe. I've been treated from chiropractors since I was 5 years old. Chiropractors, osteopaths, and I've got nothing but good things to say about them. And Ross is a client of mine, a friend of mine, and we've met through the gym. And I thought, what a great opportunity today to have a chat with Ross and find out his thoughts on health, well-being, and why he does what he does. So welcome, Ross.
Thanks for having me, Simon.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Well, look, I've got a list of questions here, but look, why don't we start? Let's start off with maybe tell us an interesting fact about you, something that no one has known, something interesting about you.
Oh, geez, look, I think my thing is, like, family is important to me. I think everybody would know that, wife and 3 kids.
I don't have a wife and 3 kids, so that's important to you.
Very important to me. But, personally, the thing I really enjoy, I play guitar, that's my thing. I collect guitars, drives my wife nuts. Too many of them, I'm sure she'd like me to sell a few. So that's the thing that I think.
So you collect guitars?
Yeah.
Oh wow, so what type of music do you play?
Rock music's the way to go.
Rock music, eh?
Electric guitar, loud.
So play a bit of lead or rhythm or both?
A bit of everything, yeah. It's get together with the guys and jam. No band these days, so it takes up too much time, but it's great to get together with some mates and play.
Awesome, right. And who's your favourite? Would be Hendrix or?
Hendrix is good. You can't beat Guns N' Roses, can you?
Guns?
Yeah,
awesome, bro. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look, so Ross, I guess you've been a chiropractor for 17 years, right? But tell me, where did your interest start? Well, what was your history about before you got into chiropractic, and what got you interested in chiropractic?
Yeah, well, look, I think growing up, I was a track and field athlete. I think performance and injury management were probably the two things that became quite important in my life.
Because?
To succeed at what I was doing.
Right.
I was quite I applied myself a lot to that sport.
And what was your events?
My main event was long jump and short sprints, 100 meters up to 200 meters. So they were my main events. And you've really got to be on your best. You've got to be on your A game when you turn up to compete.
And how old were you when you started?
Oh, look, I started. My parents took me down to little athletics at Narrabeen when I was 6 years old.
Right.
It's crazy to see my kids now competing in the same age group.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was. And it built from there. Some really good friendships, but also training. It teaches you discipline. We trained really, really hard.
Right.
But keeping fit, keeping healthy, and keeping on your A game was really towards the end was the key.
Did you sustain many injuries along that path?
I think any athlete will tell you they pretty much train with an injury all year round, and it's just moving from one injury to the next, but it's also managing it so you really can still compete at your best. It doesn't slow you down. I didn't have too many major injuries. That wasn't until later when I started playing rugby.
Yeah, right. So, and then the interest in chiropractic, where did it start? So what was the first kind of thing?
I think you are regularly attending manual therapists, physios, chiropractors, osteopaths. I had a couple of really great experiences with chiropractic that definitely changed my outlook on how to manage my performance.
Right.
And I realised that it was just as much about managing injuries as also improving performance and getting that little bit extra out of your body.
Right.
So that was the initial interest in it for me. So I pursued that through high school, doing the correct subjects to get me into qualify me for university.
Right. So you kind of were treated that inspired you to get into.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And was it a particular injury that you're treating?
Actually, probably my low back injury that I had when I was long jumping. And they just managed that really, really well. So that was probably the trigger. But then I realised you can apply that to chiropractic's not just about spinal stuff. It's about the peripheral as well. So ankles, knees, hips, it's all there. Yeah.
Right. Wow. And So tell me a little bit about your journey then into chiropractic. You were treated, you were injured, you got treated,
Yep.
and it inspired you then to study, is that correct?
That's right. So yeah, from I kind of knew what I wanted to do through high school. I mean, that was the idea. So you pick your subjects that get you into your university degree, got the mark, started the course. The course was much more intensive than I ever thought it was. It's a 5-year university degree. It's a 3-year science degree followed by a 2-year master's degree.
Right.
So you basically do medical science. That was a lot of that was done at Sydney University, but it's a Macquarie University degree in the end. So you do 5 years. It's a long journey to get through it.
I can imagine.
Come out the other end and away you go.
So contrary to popular belief, it's a fully university educated degree. It's
Absolutely.
a medical science degree almost, is it?
Yeah. Well, the initial part of it, the first 3 years where we cover most of the sciences, all the anatomy, histology, pathology stuff done with the medical science students.
Yes.
And then you do a lot of the sciences, the basic sciences with them as well. So it's a very intensive course. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, right.
A lot of hours. Yeah.
So it's got a lot of substance and structure behind it. It's not just quacks.
Well, it's a science degree.
Yeah.
We have a Bachelor of Chiropractic Science, and then, as I say, we move on to a Master's degree.
Yes.
And that's where we really focus a lot more onto the actual chiropractic, the treatment, is the skill of chiropractic.
Yes.
And the hands-on stuff that we do is very technical.
Yes.
It's like learning any skill. You teach people to box.
Yes.
You've told me many times how many times you have to repeat the correct movement to get that skill.
Yes.
And we're the same. You've got to practice it and practice and practice it until you get it right.
Correct. Yeah. And I was because a lot of people, I guess, hesitate going to a chiropractor because they're going to get their bones cracked, and there's kind of a lot of misnomers out there that people think that if I go to a chiropractor, I'm going to have a broken back or a broken neck, or they're going to injure me worse than I already am. So tell me a little bit about how you treat people.
Yeah, well, manipulation is first of all, only one tool that we use out of many, many, many different treatment modalities. So manipulation and chiropractic are not synonymous. It's just a tool that chiropractors use, right?
So one of many tools in your toolbox.
And if people come in to me and say, look, I don't like manipulation, then we don't have to do it. There's many other things that we can do.
Yes.
There are reasons why it can be preferable, and we talk to our patients about that, and they can make the choice. It's an informed decision, like any treatment should be.
Yes.
And then from there, I have to pause for you.
Yeah, sure. So give us an example. What are some of the alternative treatments if people don't want to be manipulated?
Yeah, so the way I treat personally is, we do a lot of soft tissue work. So that could be anything from massage to active release techniques, breaking up scar tissue, mobilization. I personally do acupuncture as well.
Yeah, right.
There's rehab techniques, so we're using exercise to strengthen. There's plenty out there. Plenty.
Right. So it's chiropractic is not limited to just manipulation. You've got a whole bunch of modalities that you've brought into this field as well, correct? Yeah.
So the initial part of your question was then, is it safe?
Yes.
And the manipulation is as safe as every other technique that we can use as well. So in 17 years in practice, I haven't had any issues in our practice with hurting anyone. And
yes.
The countless number of patients that we've been through.
You said you treat up to 15 to 20 patients per day.
Yeah, that's right. I do
17 years.
Yeah, I do long consults. My consults are half an hour, so I'm working 8 hours a day with patients or more. And look, we don't have those problems. We're very conservative with how we treat people.
Yes.
And importantly, we make a really good diagnosis on that initial appointment when they come in with a problem. So, if you know what you're treating, then you can be very safe with that.
Yeah, and would you say that's a recommendation before you see anybody of any kind of profession?
Absolutely. The amount of patients that I have coming through my door that have been to other professions, or even other chiropractors sometimes, I'm not saying we all do a great job. There's good and bad in every profession, right?
Yes.
But when someone comes through the door and says, I've been to 3 or 4 other people, and I say, well, what's the problem? And they can't tell me what they've been diagnosed as the treatment, then, tells me that the practitioner doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
So a good diagnosis is key. And we've got lots of ways that we can do that now. With great imaging techniques that we can refer out to. We do a very thorough examination.
I think it's really important before you see any professional. Like I think when I came to see you myself, so part of the reason why I'm doing this, I came to see you, is that you sat down and you asked me all about me.
Yeah.
What were my issues? Where did I have pain? Where was I sore? and you did a thorough background check of everything before you then treated me. So you didn't just take me into the treatment room.
Yeah, there's a reason.
There's
a reason I leave an hour for my initial consult, and that's because a good chunk of that's taken up with the history, and the history is very important for knowing what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So and that gave me a lot of security about seeing you as well. Look, so today now, like you've been practicing for 17 years, and that's a long time.
Yeah, it's
a long
gone
time.
real quick, but it is.
Yeah. So what keeps you still passionate about that today?
Yeah, I think my concept of what chiropractic is evolved from perceiving it as just something that treats injuries and improve performance to managing people's health. I think that's very important, and I think I've become a little more aware of that as you get older and you're not invincible in 20 anymore, and you have kids as well and a family, and you realise that health is probably the most important thing for people, and we can make a huge influence in people's lives. We can literally change people's quality of life. And I think that kind of keeps you turning up every day. I've got 15 or 20 people in my appointment book today that can actually have an influence on the way they lead their life.
So it's having a direct influence and impact on their well-being, and mate, that's fantastic. Now, look, tell me a bit more about the mechanics, I guess, of chiropractic. How does it work? How does it benefit me if I was to come in? Like I know this, but for the punter that's maybe never seen a chiropractor, why would I need to? And say I've got no pain in my body as well. Why do I need to come and say hi to Ross?
Well, most people initially come when they have pain. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
I think. And then from there we can build on the conversation with those people. But initially it's about improving function. So if a joint is not moving well, there's a few things that happen, but pain is one of them, and the other is loss of awareness of how that joint moves. So you have
proprioceptive awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a subconscious awareness of where a joint is positioned and how it moves well.
Yes.
And with pain, with stimulation of pain fibers, you lose the proprioception and the mechanoreception. So you lose coordination over that joint. So muscles will turn off, some muscles will spasm, and then you build this sort of complex where you can, over time, build faulty movement patterns. So from our perspective, often that's poor posture.
Yes.
And in a performance perspective, that might be, for you might see a lot of guys who get shoulder rotator cuff issues, and that can be because the whole mechanism is broken down. The stabilizing of that shoulder blade is gone, and then the right? There's a really common thing that you probably see in your business.
Poor posture. But even me being a business owner now versus an athlete, or I'm on the desk and I'm immobile, I'm sitting in this position for periods of time, it definitely hurts.
So lack of movement is a big issue, and particularly with spinal stuff, it's segmental. So your spine is made up of many bones that all join together, and they all contribute to movement. And with injury, with load over time, postural loading, low grade stresses on that system, you can lose functional movement at segments. It doesn't have to be globally, it just can be at that segmental level. And over time, that segment is then more likely to be injured and also wear out.
So like what? Tell me.
Sprain strains are your common ones. Sprain or a strain.
On the back or?
Yeah, to the segment.
Right.
So you have either the ligaments that hold it together or the muscles that move it.
Okay.
So they're the areas that you're going to injure. You get out of your office chair for the first time in 4 or 5 hours and pick up something heavy. The messages aren't there to stabilise.
Right.
You lose that proprioception and you injure yourself. So that's probably one of the more common things that we see.
Okay. Is bulging disc one of those as well?
Well, it's all part of that loading, incorrect loading on that particular segment. So disc bulges, facet joint injuries, they're the common ones.
Yeah, because they're saying now that sitting is becoming the new smoking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has a whole, I'd say on a biomechanical level it becomes problematic, but it's also changing the way you breathe. So your diaphragm's compressed, your organs are compressed, so they don't function as well as they should.
Right.
You don't breathe well, you're always telling us to breathe, right?
Right, yeah. So tell me, what are some tips that people can do, I guess, to improve their back function? If they're sitting for long periods or they're experiencing back pain or they're starting to, what can they do to improve that on their own? I
think probably the easiest one is if you're an office worker, you need to get a stand-up or a sit-stand desk.
Sit-stand desk.
Yeah, so you can do a bit of both. You don't have to stand all day either, but I think if you can change position regularly, that is really key.
Right.
So, You know, I think we've all done it where we've sat ourselves at the desk, got into that bad slumped position.
A bit like this.
And been there for 4 hours and
yes.
I'm not allowed at the time. And that's not good for you doing that day in, day out.
Yeah.
So, you know, get a sit-down desk, set a timer, stand up regularly, sit down regularly. It's pretty simple, but people that makes a huge difference for people.
Right. Yeah, right. I often say to people, just maybe put a timer on and move every half an hour. Just get up and move and come back. At least do something like that. If you haven't got a sit-stand desk, at least get up from the desk, move away, come back. Just keep your body moving.
Yeah. And so movement really is key.
Yeah.
So that's important. Train regularly. You know, and if you're not coming to a gym to train, just get out and go for a walk, go for a swim. Like northern beaches. Jeez, you couldn't pick a better place to have to do it, right?
Yeah, sure. And can you explain a bit how spinal health, the importance, I guess, of spinal health in not just for pain, but tell me about how that pain and spinal health all go to influence, or how it goes into, I guess, a person's general health and well-being.
Yeah.
How that translates.
So basically, all the input, we were talking before about proprioception, which is the input from sensory receptors in your whole body. It all has to pass through your spine, into the spinal cord, which is part of your central nervous system, and up to your brain. Messages of proprioception are healthy and they keep you in a low stress state. Information about pain, which is called nociception. Nociception.
Right.
So nociceptors receive information about potential damage to your body.
Yeah.
They send information to your brain that puts you in a stress response.
Right.
And that stress response causes illness. It's simple as that. So it doesn't matter how that stress is being activated, whether it is from pain and poor movement, or whether it's from emotional, or whether it's from a chemical, diet, you know, is a common one. They all cause the same stress response. Right. And we know stress makes us sick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think it's a really important point. Like I've interviewed quite a few people lately, and this relationship between stress and illness, and really learning to take that power back. I guess learning to take the power back. So one is movement. So I believe movement is freedom, and so the more you're able to move, the more freedom you have within your body. And the more there's also studies with children as well, that children who are fitter perform better at school, have better mental health, etc., etc. Yeah. So I think movement is really the key, and I guess you help keep people moving, which is reducing one form of stress in your body.
It's a component of reducing stress. So if we can improve movement and the quality of movement, it improves the way that your nervous system functions.
Yes.
So it stimulates that parasympathetic side of your body, where you improve immune response, digestion, heart rate comes down, blood pressure comes down, all the things that happen when we're relaxed. They happen when you move well and move pain-free.
I've got a sore back, and when I got treated by you, I noticed straight away that my breathing changed.
Oh, absolutely.
My breathing changed straight away, because I wasn't nursing that injury, that pain in my lower back. It wasn't hurting me as much, so therefore my body felt more relaxed. I was able to breathe in a calmer way. We then had another effect on my mental state. I think the less pain I carry in my body, always the more relaxed I am. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing. And we have so many chronic stresses nowadays.
Yes.
That stress response is designed for when we were trying to run away from a bear attack or something like that. But now it's everywhere. That stress response is everywhere. So we have to do conscious things to actively reduce our stress load. So good movement, pain-free movement is very important. But then also diet, breathing techniques. I know you teach a lot of meditation, don't you, Simon? So, that's amazing. That's something that everyone should be getting on board.
Yeah, thanks. We'll wrap up in a minute. Would you have any tips? Top 3 tips from Ross that would say to live a healthier life, to be a bit more pain-free. I mean, you've already given them, but just go top 3 in summary.
To summarise for me, it's moving. You've got to move regularly.
Yes.
Exercise is so important. So if you don't get out and go for a walk, go for a swim, join a gym, you do need to do that. That's absolutely important.
Yeah.
Eat well.
Eat well.
Diet is crazy important as well. And the third one is, I guess coming from a chiropractor, is visit a chiropractor. If you haven't seen one, you'll be surprised at what we can do. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel after after a chiropractic treatment, it will change things for you.
Yeah, I validate that.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Cool.
Well, that's that's a wrap up with Ross today. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again on next Conversations with Simon.